Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the rise and fall of Dimond Fitness, which was a huge success for me and also one of my greatest mistakes. I'm going off the cuff here today, no script, no notes. I just want to talk to you about my experience. I have a few notes that I made in terms of revenue and profit loss because I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys. I think so often we get to see all the successes, all the major wins, and we see all these people doing all these great things, and we just assume it just works for other people and maybe it didn't work for us. I feel like I owe it to you. So many of you were along the journey with me when I opened that place, and you were also happy for me, so I'm going to explain why we're closing the doors and just how this all worked, and maybe you can take away something from it, because every day I have people who come to me and want some sort of advice or consulting on opening a gym. So I'm here to tell you, I definitely wouldn't do it again exactly the way I did it. Would I do it again? Sure. I've learned a lot, and I'm here to teach you. Maybe you can learn from my mistakes. So here's how this happened. In 2012, we started slowly saving equipment. We had a small personal training studio where I trained my clients out of. It was about 1,000 square feet, and we were slowly acquiring equipment to open a bigger place. We ended up getting an incredible deal with the Cleveland Browns. We were able to buy their entire training facility and use all of that state-of-the-art, pretty much brand new equipment. Without that, we never would have taken this leap. So that was incredible. It was one of those meeting the right people, being in the right place at the right time kind of things. That was pretty amazing. So that happened. We met with a commercial realtor. This was in 2013, August of 2013. Met with a commercial realtor and decided we were gonna go for this. So we scratched together a little business plan, had no idea what we were actually doing. I think we threw together a business plan because our realtor told us that we had to, or he didn't feel comfortable letting us sign a 5-year lease. So we did that. We had no business background. We didn't know what we were doing, and we jumped all in. Our business model was to have personal trainers who would rent the space for us for a flat rate, and then we would have select members. Our members really were just a lot of friends and people we knew and people who wanted to support us, and we weren't making a ton of money off of members. Our first year in business, we had about $30,000 in expenses, and we netted negative $4,000 that first year. You know, that is what it is. I don't know of many businesses that start out and are extremely profitable. So that was our first year in business in 2013. 2014, and like I said, I do have revenue notes, so I'm gonna glance at periodically. 2014, we had $71,000 in expenses, and we ended up netting negative $7,000. So still weren't in the green like we had hoped. 2015, $78K in expenses, and we netted a negative $19,000. 2016, $55K in expenses, and we were netting negative $24,000. So here we are, 4 years into this business, and we haven't profited a dime. Here's where the story gets really fun. I still never saw Dimond Fitness as a loss, really. It was the environment. I loved that place. It was so fulfilling to me. It was a dream. It was passion. And I had another business over here that was supporting it. It was paying my bills, it was supporting me, and it was funding the other business. It's a reason that we were able to take a loss every year without going into massive debt. My business partner was, as many of you know, my ex-husband. So we split up in 2016, and for personal reasons, we decided to go separate ways. He decided to stay within the gym. He wanted the gym. Our divorce was finally final in... When was that final? Not very long ago, 3 weeks ago. So it is May and April 2018. So 19 months of litigation with business things. I let Dimond Fitness go. It was a good decision, and now he has decided to sell the place. You can probably guess why, because it's not a profitable business, but I just wanted to get on here and be completely transparent with you guys about this and let you know about a failure of mine. I put a lot of time, energy, effort into this place. Did I think it was gonna turn out this way? Absolutely not. You know, if you would have told me a business was gonna suck out thousands and thousands of dollars from me, I would have never started it. But you live and you learn. Some of our major issues. Overhead is very expensive. We had rent at the place, and keep in mind, most of our equipment was already paid for. So we had rent, an electric bill that was extremely high, heat bill, which in the winter with high ceilings would be $600 a month some months. A lot of little expenses that really add up that a lot of people don't think about. So we just kept finding ourselves in the red, and we were never really going to pull ourselves out of that in a 4,000 square foot studio because you're capped. You're capped with space, unless we're going to completely pack the place and figure out times where, you know, everybody wasn't working out at the same time. That's the only way it could have possibly worked. So I've shared the story, so you've heard some of the wins. Biggest win being the purchase of the Cleveland Browns equipment and not buying a bunch of stuff brand new. That definitely completely saved us from going bankrupt. So we're starting with wins. That was a big win. A few other things that we figured out along the way. We did find a facility with great parking. So that's definitely a limitation when you're looking at a gym, at least around here. I know in some bigger cities, parking is a real issue. A few other things that I feel like we nailed. We had a garage door, so the width of your entryway is extremely important when you're looking to move equipment in and stuff. Having a loading dock is even better, but having that garage door definitely saved us in a lot of situations. So we got that one right. We had a fairly decent deal on insurance. I've heard horror stories in regards to that, but I feel like that all went pretty smoothly. Let's go over lessons. I'd rather call them lessons than losses. Knowing your neighbors and your surrounding area. We had to keep music down during business hours, which wasn't a huge deal, but something that we didn't consider when we were looking at the place. Zonings. When you're first looking for a place, make sure that you are zoned. Kind of screwed this up, and luckily it never came back to bite us. We got away with it, essentially. But yeah, make sure you're zoned to be a gym. Air conditioning. This, I don't know if this was negligence on our part, if we were misled, or just we misunderstood. We were under the impression that our facility had air conditioning, and it ended up only having AC in the front part of it. So a gym without AC is not the end of the world, but it was an unexpected expense, about $7,500 actually, when we end up having to purchase a large fan. So there was another little lesson, and I would consider this part a win. We went with a company called Macro Air over the company Big Ass Fans. And Big Ass Fans is the big one in the market, and we almost went for them, got a second quote, and ended up saving about $3,000 to $4,000 with that decision. So still a $7,500 expense that we hadn't really planned for. Bathrooms and showers. We started marketing, and we thought we would just get bathrooms and showers installed. How much can it be, right? Little did we know that by law, you must have a handicap shower, which means you end up having to have two. And the showers, the quotes that we got for showers and bathrooms, anywhere from 10 to 20 grand, I believe. We weren't willing to put that kind of money into a place that we were renting space from. So that was something we ran into, and it may have deterred a lot of clientele who would have worked out in the mornings prior to work because they couldn't shower there. Power outlets. We did not think to look around the place to see how many power outlets they had. This isn't like when you purchase a home, there's no home inspection, there's no gym inspection. Going back, we probably could have found a consultant that knew to look for these things, and I feel like I could be the consultant now to tell you what to look for. But yeah, we did not have those, and they were more expensive than we anticipated, a few grand to get the outlets that we needed in the place. Another big mistake on our part is we did not have a clearly defined business plan. So we had anticipated to have a huge storage section of the gym all under one roof. We didn't lay it out. We didn't know how much equipment we were going to have in there, and we didn't know how much space we would need. So we actually hired a contractor to build us a fence and fence off part of our storage place. Well, we started filling the place with equipment. We realized that we could not allocate any space for just storage. We needed it for the floor of our gym. So we had already paid this contractor. We'd already put a deposit on it, and I want to say it was like $2,000 that we lost. This was a great lesson on making sure you have contracts in place and you know what you're paying for and you know what's refundable, because we did that actually in 2 or 3 instances with the build out, and we got screwed out of a lot of money up front. One of those being our security system. We used a company that ended up being an absolute nightmare, and then eventually we just ended up cutting ties with them, and we lost out on that money as well. Rent, $2,100 a month. Insurance for the facility, $200 a month. We had water, for $35, a key fob system costing us $40, phone and internet $130, gas, like I mentioned, depending on the month, anywhere from $80 to $600 a month. We had electric, obviously, a cleaning crew and cleaning supplies. You don't realize this kind of stuff, but just things like paper towels and the solution you wipe everything down with, toilet paper, all that stuff really adds up. And then it either comes down to your man hours or hiring someone to clean the place. If you are already self-employed and this gym is gonna, be your business and you're self-employed for the first time, you need health insurance. For 2 people running this gym, that's about $500 a month. And then our equipment budget. So I say approximately $2,000 a month. And like I said, keep in mind, we had all the bare bones. We had a studio prior to this. So we had all our dumbbells, we had all our squat racks, we had all the major things. Sure, we would buy a couple of new pieces every year, but the approximate budget here is for maintenance on equipment. It's for things like miscellaneous bars, it's for kettlebells, it's for a lot of random little things, and that really adds up. And this is really where we didn't pay a lot of attention. We did not budget. So we budgeted the cash flow of pretty much everything else and what was coming in the door and what was going out, but we didn't look very closely at our equipment budget. And ultimately, that's kind of what ended up making this not make any sense. Obviously, revenue minus expenses is your profit. And you will see through this that we not only did not have a profitable business, we hardly had the chance for one. Let me explain what that means. We had personal trainers who were independent contractors. Starting out, we got them in the door and they paid us $400 a month to rent the space, and they took all the money in from their clients. It was a great deal for them. A lot of them were making great money. It was what we wanted. It was, providing a great atmosphere. We got people in the door. We slowly started to increase that monthly rate from $400 to $550, and then landed on $700 a month. With each jump, we lost trainers, obviously. That's fairly standard in business. We didn't do much marketing at all. We weren't really pushing to get trainers in the door, so we had zero marketing dollars going out. So the facility was 4,000 square feet, and we were capped at about 8 trainers because people like to do personal training around the same times. It's either in the morning or typically in the evening between like 6 and 8 p.m. So we couldn't tell trainers when and when not to train. We couldn't give people time blocks. We were capped around, $5,600. Members were another source of revenue. So members at $50 a month. And there, I think it's generous to say we were capped around 50 members. 4,000 square feet isn't that big, although the facility looks and kind of feels big. Once you get a bunch of people in there, it gets uncomfortable. And we didn't want that. We wanted the environment to feel really good. It was our playground. We liked that. So we were definitely capped at 50. We probably hung out around 30. So let's say we capped out at 50 members. That brought us to member revenue of about $2,500 a month. So total potential revenue, $8,100. Actual revenue was more like $4,500. So we have the potential to make $8,000. Yet our expenses are $5,500 to $6,000. My idea of the American dream isn't to make major risk and bust my ass for the potential to make $24,000 a year. I'm not saying that's not a great added bonus, not saying it's not nice to have a gym and to make money on top of it, but man, it's a lot of work. And if I'm gonna put a lot of risk into this, I need a greater return than that. It was a no-brainer to walk away. So that's what it looked like. Wasn't a raving success. It wasn't a failure. More so than anything, learned how important it is to closely monitor your cash flow. Even if it makes sense in your head, make sure you have everything written down and you're accounting for every single thing. And it seems like such common sense. I mean, you wouldn't not manage your bank account, right? But for some reason, when there's so many moving parts, it just was easy to look at and say, oh, we're close enough and we're breaking even. And we weren't. I think a little bit of that may have been ego. But I'm happy to have stepped back from that ego and from this experience. And I'm really happy to be able to share it with you guys. So there's the gym, rise and fall, on to bigger and better things. As always, appreciate all of your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following along.